pocket, breath like a match, velvet in my voice and skill in my grasp. I follow the moonlight into a steady hand, walk through the flame until both understand. When I ask who I am, I answer with light. Ignite your weekends, set our shadows on fire. Ignite your weekends, that tenderness meet desire. Ignite your weekends, choose now we rise higher. Ignite your weekends, oh yeah, ignite your weekends.
I used to push louder, call that being strong. Now strength is patient and patience moves along. I hold the rage and the lullaby in one key. In hard times I show up steady awake. The hours of posture, I practice and refine.
Hands like thunder, hands like rain, both have place. I flip fear into fuel, turn silence into grace. Ignition is a choice, not a single bright spark. I carry my past and shine through the dark. Ignite your weekends, set our shadows on fire. Ignite your weekends, let tenderness meet desire. Ignite your weekends, choose how we rise higher. Ignite your weekends, we are the flame, we light the night, we light the night. Ignite your weekends.
Welcome to the Third Entity. My name is Adam Decavalis, and I'm joined as always by Mr. Bruce Hendricks. And we are a podcast that talks about relationship issues and everything and anything having to do with men and women and the dynamics between them. So, welcome, Bruce. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad.
What you
Can't
got?
complain.
What you smoking there today?
Oh, this is called the Big Johnny. It's a Honduran cigar, Maduro wrapper. I have no idea how long it's going to take to smoke it.
It looks like a 3-hour commitment to me. I don't know.
It could be. It could be. We'll see. Depends on the wind flow. It's raining here.
I don't know if we have enough content to last as long as your cigar. We'll see.
That's okay. That's all right.
We'll do our best. Well, for those of you that have been tuning in for the past 5 or 6 weeks that we've been doing this podcast, thank you for coming. Thank you for being here and watching. We are a startup podcast. We're very small at this point. Some episodes do better than others, but we are still, I would say, pretty invisible to the algorithm. But one of the things that does help us get into that algorithm is if you like, share, or subscribe to this video, and actually comments as well. If you comment on the video, then it will be spread far and wide, and we can get our message out. What is our message? What are we trying
Our
to
message?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think whatever we talk about, it's interesting. I just always focused on men and women being the best version of themselves. And the fact that being aware of the dynamics of relationships between men and women, and between men and men, and between women and women, most humans on this planet are not aware. Like, they don't have a guide, they don't have a toolkit, they don't have a map, right? They're just not aware. So they stumble through things, make huge mistakes again and again. And our weekends, the things that we do in our supplementary gyms and classes that we put on for men and women is really an awareness program. It's making you aware of, and when you see it, it's like it's an undeniable truth. Like you can't unsee it. So then you realize I have a choice. I can be the best version of myself and work on it continually, or I can just say, you know what, I'll just roll the way I've been rolling. But at least you are aware. You see a possibility of another path. And so, you know, and then this podcast, we bring in these different sort of elements, many that I'm not even aware of, and some that I am. And we sort of lay the weekend teachings over top of them in some way, you know, to see, you know, what's true, what's not, what's going on, you know. And, you know, a lot of it's social media hype. Some of it, there's some underlying disturbing moral shifts in our society. So there's all sorts of things. And I think our job here is just give our opinion, try and weigh through it, and where possible, apply the weekend tenets to it. Yeah, that's what I'd say. That's why we're here.
Yep. And, you know, last Sunday, something came up about, like, you know, the only person you can change is yourself. You know, it's the only person you have control over is yourself. So being introspective on who you are and what you can change and how you can be better. That's what it's all about. And a lot of times, you know, like I think I have more controversial takes sometimes than everybody else that's on here. But no matter what it is, it's not something that we're prescribing that you go out and like tell another person you need to be this way. It's all about you and how you're going to be to change your reality.
Yeah, 100%. Which is good news in a way.
Well, yeah. If you try to change somebody else, I mean, good luck.
Exactly.
So today's topic is, you know, we're going to cover a little bit of what's going on in the news out there. And before we dive right into it, the first thing I want to do actually is I want to bring a little bit of comedy.
You want to keep your man? Know that a man in love will give his woman anything and everything she won't need and desire, as long as you don't ask him for shit. Don't ask him for nothing. You need a new refrigerator, don't ask him for it. Bring him a hot beer. And wait for a refrigerator to show up at your door. Don't say shit against your man mama. These men love they mama. Even if he ain't never met this bitch, he loved his mama. Even though they only 13 years apart, he loved his mom. Know that men don't want to talk when they first come home from work. Men want to shit, shower, and shave. Then they want to get situated and give you a signal that conversation should come forth. Be very careful what you say to a man who's in love with you. Because once he falls in love, his life is dedicated to you and the family that you're making together. So when you come home from work with tears welled up in your eyes, and the man that's in love with you go, "What's wrong, baby?" And you go, "You know Larry from my job?" That's all that brother heard was Larry from your job. Now he in the car with the pistol grip pump on his lap at all times, driving to your job looking for motherfuckers named Larry. You in the kitchen making a sandwich, listening to the news, forgot what you said, but you hear 3 dudes named Larry got shot at your job by a man with no pants on. See, you want to keep...
Wow.
So true.
Mm-hmm.
I like the part about, you know, let me come home. Let me just relax. I don't need to. Chris Rock had a piece about it. He's like, I don't care who your man is. Before he comes home, he got to drink something. He got to smoke something. He got to do something to get ready. Because when he comes home, he puts his foot in the door and it's blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me some time.
We talk about that in the men's gym, where, you know, when you go into that environment, you know, we talk about sort of a metaphorical mud room where you go in, you know, so you're not bringing your day home with you. You take off your jacket and your muddy shoes and metaphorically prepare yourself.
Expectation. If you're dating,
The interaction between the sexes is complex.
I could hear that.
Oh, you can. I'm so sorry. What
No
was
worries.
saying? I didn't think it would be playing.
the metaphorical mudroom, a man preparing himself before walking into the environment after work, just so he doesn't bring it with him. Like, you know, he's having a bad day. I always like that. I don't know who said it, but whatever. Walking in and, you know, if you've had a bad day, you know, she doesn't want to hear about it. You know, she says, well, what's wrong? Oh, I had a bad day. Well, what happened? Well, that's a trap. Like, not that she's meaning to lay one, but it's a mistake to go into it. So the better response would be, oh, honey, it was bad, and I don't even want to think about it. I'm just here with you now, and I'm really happy to be, and I just want to pay attention to you and talk about your stuff. That would make me feel better. Thanks. And that's the perfect response, right? And then it segues on. She doesn't have to worry about whatever it is you're worried about, because it's never helpful.
Mm-hmm. Well, that reminds me of something else that I wanted to play since you brought it up.
Everything.
Can you hear that audio?
Yep.
Wow. That's weird because I had it muted. Weird. How about, let's try this. I'm learning. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
All right. Let's do this. So you were talking about how if you come home from work and you're like, you had a problem, and she's like, what's the matter? And, you know, you don't necessarily want to go into it. But sometimes we talk about, like, that's called like taking off your mask in front of your woman, you know, or in front of children or in front of anybody who you don't want to do that with because you're being vulnerable in a time when you shouldn't. And so here's a quick little video about that, kind of.
Women want men. Women want men to open up, but we always use it against you. You're trainable. We'll teach you to not open up.
How do women teach men not to open up?
There's several ways. One is that you tell me a truth about you, and it's so yummy. Oh, he told me something really special about him. Who can I tell? So for a woman, an admirable man, a strong man, a cool man, revealed something to me, makes me important. Status, herd instinct. But it's only worth something if I can tell someone else. Yes. So you'll reveal to us, and we'll reveal to them. It's a betrayal from a man's point of view. That's a betrayal. But you'll find out that we did it because it'll come back around. The end with revealing intimate information. The other thing we'll do is we'll use it against you. So I used to be really cautious. In 1995, when we started a workshop, it was called Celebrating Men, Satisfying Women. Women want men to.
What do you think about that?
Well, if a woman were to take a man's confidence, you know, and then tell someone else, it would come back around, and it would be a betrayal from a man's point of view. Mm-hmm. It's just gossip, right? The underlying premise that I'm not sure about is the fact that what she was saying is that when she hears this juicy tidbit and she feels like honored to be let in on the secret or whatever, on the confidence, but to her it actually doesn't hold any real value until she's able to tell somebody else. That's kind of scary, which would be another underlying factor. Don't tell your woman things like, don't drop your mask, you know, tilt your mask. It's a difference, you know. Didn't you, who was it that coined that tilt or tip or something, or
tip or slip?
Tip or slip. There it is. Tip or slip. Was that you?
That was me.
Come on. Yeah, that's good. Tip or slip, you know, because tipping your mask could be like crying at a funeral openly, right? Because someone's died, right? Yeah. And all this, you know, children are crying, and so you're crying. I think that's a beautiful thing. To me, that's tilting your mask. You know, slipping your mask would be laying on the floor, screaming at the top of your lungs, you know, grieving, you know, out of control. Any emotion that gets out of control is your mask slipped off.
Right. Which we're saying is different for men and women, right? Like for women to be sobbing and seemingly out of control with her emotions is completely different than if you see a man being the same way.
With a woman, it's expected, you know, that's how they roll. And they're able to communicate what they're actually feeling. Whereas men do not communicate with words, and when they are out of control emotionally, it's actually frightening.
I agree. Why is it frightening though?
Because they're out of control. Because they're stronger than the people around them in many cases, and an out of control man does violent things potentially, and even if it's an emotion that's out of control, that's not necessarily apparently inherently violent. Everyone immediately thinks that if he could be out of control here in this situation, what's it going to look like when he gets angry and he's out of control? That's exactly where they go. No one can trust an emotional man.
So I agree with the out of control part, that it could be scary. But I think another reason why it could be scary is because in a time where you need that man to be strong and to be a protector and to count on him as the rock, you don't know. Maybe he'll melt into a pile of goo, and then what? It's another reason why it could be scary.
Sure.
So you keep segueing into my videos, which is very nice, even though I didn't tell you about these videos.
No.
So you were talking about how, what was it that you said? Something about how women verbalize more and men are like more nonverbal. I think you said something like that.
Yeah, they're able to communicate what their emotions mean. Like, they're actually able to verbalize why they're feeling this way and what's going on, and just like describe them in detail, whereas men, not so much.
Which they learn from like a very young age.
Oh, yeah.
And men are taught from a very young age to suck it up. You got to go earn your value,
Yeah, and I think there's a certain amount of genetics involved as well, I believe.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, so I have this video, and it's like 3 minutes long, and it's this dude. I can't remember his name right now. Harry, I think his name is. And he's got a lot of these videos where he like breaks down different topics, and he talks really fast, and he's pretty on point and smart about it, and he puts up on the screen like a bunch of like quotes and like facts that can like back up studies and stuff that back up what he's talking about, but they come on the screen so fast, like there's no way you could ever read it while you're listening to him unless you like paused it and like stopped and read what he has there. And then I think he also at some point he like increases the speed of his video, so he's like talking really fast all of a sudden. But it's a good video. The topic is good. What he talks about is good. So we're going to try and go through it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to slow it down to like 0.8 of regular speed, and then pause it so we can talk about different things that he says. But he's talking about that a lot, about the difference between nonverbal men expressing emotions and verbal with women and why. But a lot of other stuff. And a lot of the stuff in this video is going to lead into a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about today on the podcast. So we got to get through it, even though there's a lot in it, because it's going to set us up. But before we do that, we have been joined by Brenda Noss once again, and we're excited. So we're going to bring her onto the stage right now. Hey, Brenda.
Hello, gentlemen. Hello, everybody. Thank you
welcome
for
back.
bringing me in. Thank you.
So I don't know. I think you heard some of that we're going to go over
I've been
video right
listening.
now. Yep. Cool. Any thoughts so far on what you've heard, or should we just jump right into it?
Let's jump right in.
Let's jump right in. All right.
Yeah.
Let's jump right in, and at the same time, let's be patient with me, because I'm still learning this stuff.
The interaction between the sexes is
I'm assuming you can hear that.
Yeah, for a bit
I'm
we
gonna
did. Yeah.
change the playback speed. That's my dad in Greece.
I didn't know he's a sheep herder.
No, he just stuck on the road.
the interaction between the sexes is complex, or more accurately, equal and opposite. And that is why men and women get so frustrated with each other.
It's echoey.
It's echoing.
Like really bad?
It feels like we're hearing two. Yeah, it's kind of like we're hearing two voices same voice over top of each other.
Let's see what happens if I put it back to the normal speed.
because men expect women to interface like men and women
Better?
No.
Still the same. Yeah, still echoey.
Really?
vice versa. But this is unfair, and this is why each sex must integrate the opposite aspect
To a point where that I shouldn't play it?
It's not really understandable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading the captions to understand.
Well, let me see if I can fix the audio.
to interact healthily. Woman is born with her generative force inside of her body. Man
There it is. That works.
That changed? Okay, I figured out what it was.
Yeah.
All right, let's start it over.
The interaction between the sexes
Also, let's slow it down.
is complex, or more accurately equal and opposite. And that is why men and women get so frustrated with each other, because men expect women to interface like men and women vice versa.
Okay, let's start right there. I would say we can all agree that's generally true, right?
I just wrote a piece on that around communication. I think we're going to deliver that at the co-ed Zoom event we got coming up on the 3rd of September. Around communication, how it's completely different, and men and women, they're not bilingual, but they need to learn to be bilingual to understand the way they're laying it out and understanding how the man's bringing it, and vice versa. Yeah.
Agreed. Brenda, you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. He's going to tell us why.
But this is unfair, and this is why each sex must integrate the opposite aspect and interact healthily. Woman is born with her generative force inside of her body, man on the outside. When this root difference, two entirely opposite worldviews develop.
It's starting to get echoey again.
The speaker.
Is it?
Yeah.
Weird, because I didn't do anything.
Feelings because her power is internal, and the only way to actualize her potential is to exercise it out of herself through speech. Thus, she develops verbal empathy much more readily and easily than man, because inversely, man's generative power exists without him. It is external, therefore he has no need to speak, because he can simply demonstrate his potential physically to make it actual.
Okay. What do you think about that?
Very interesting perspective. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, men communicate primarily through action. You know, they don't speak so good. Men, you know, and women, I think there's we talk about the bridge between the left and right side of the brain, where women are able to verbalize their emotions. It's a huge advantage in a conversation if you think about it. And men are more, you know, what are men? They're designed to hide behind a rock and then leap out and kill something, drag it home. I mean, that was their job, right? So they didn't have a lot of use for this, and actually would be detrimental to his the things he needed to do, you know, back in at our source code.
He talks about that. It's basically, it's like he talks about objective versus subjective, right? Because male genitalia is on the outside of the body, because men are more physical. Everything to them is an object and factual, where women, their reproductive organs are on the inside of their body. It's not visible. It's not an object. So everything's subjective. It's all about what they can explain and how they can be in relationship with other people. But we'll continue.
Thus, man develops not verbal but active empathy. This is why traditionally, whereas women may bond over a tea party, most male bonding occurs around an activity, hence the prevalence of sport among male friendship, and why women don't get that guys don't talk while playing with a ball. But this makes sense. Sport replicates hunting or warfare, in which case, when stalking up upon a mastodon or rival clan of humans, speaking is the last thing you wish to do. Thus, men are silent creatures of the eye and hand. They see, aim, and cast projectiles like Apollo's arrow, and they are less secretive because their naked dicks wag outside themselves. Inversely, women are creatures of the mouth. They speak things into existence, recipes, rumors, ruin. They spin yarns, hence the characters of the Norns. They are enigmatic because they conceal their secret within and reveal only what they wish through their mysterious lips, hence the troubling smile of the Mona Lisa. Thus, man sees...
I like these little references he makes. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, they say that men before there was any spoken word, men communicated, right, through a series of grunts,
Pokes.
and hand signals, right?
Yeah.
Because verbalizing wouldn't have helped, right? The saber-toothed tiger is approaching in from the northeast quadrant. By the time they got that out, he would have attacked, right? So they would signal.
Well,
I
it
mean, it
also
makes
could hurt.
sense.
It could give away your position too, right?
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Brenda, what do you think?
And if it was a woman, she'd be saying Northeast. Was it Taco Bell or McDonald's?
Yeah, like a visual reference point.
Visual reference point, yeah.
All right, we'll continue.
Truth as an object. He objectifies and desires to have it. He is action empathetic. His domain is external. Inversely, woman speaks truth as a subject. She subjectifies and desires to share it. She is verbal empathetic. Her domain is internal. This is why I find the meme of men learning empathy to be in such poor taste, because it assumes all empathy is verbal. I could say the same about women learning action empathy, such as when a woman learns that if you just watch the movie, you'll find out what the characters want. There's a
I've heard that in my house, yeah.
Yeah. My wife says, so what happens? Like, we're watching the movie.
What's gonna
I don't
happen?
even know. I don't know what happened. What happened? She's not going to die, is she? Like, she would like to know the outcome
Yeah.
in order to enjoy the movie.
Right.
It's amazing. Like,
No, she wants to share the contemplation of the outcome. She doesn't want to know the outcome. She just wants to have a conversation about it.
Verbalize. Yeah. Yep. Where
She
men
wants to
are just
bond
wanting-
with you over the inquiry.
Yeah, 36 years ago, I bought my wife a bike for her Christmas, and she knew I bought her a gift, and she was on me like a little kid. What'd you get me? What'd you get me? Just tell me what you got. Like full on, like over a period of days. And I finally told her,
And she was
I got
mad,
you.
wasn't she?
And then she was, why did you tell me? You've been on me for a month.
It's obvious. Yeah.
All right, we have someone in the comments is asking, have men tried to speak gooder? This sounds rather reductionist.
Wow, fancy. I'd have to know what reductionist meant.
Well, he speaks gooder, so
Okay.
he's got that word. Reduction means you're just like reducing it to something like super simple when it's actually more nuanced and more complicated than that.
Isn't that how men think? You've been telling us. Very simple.
Yeah. Very simple creatures, like rock. They're like rocks on the elemental table. You can't condense a rock.
Well, I mean, all philosophers of greatness, most, if not all, are men. So I don't know that we're.
That's because nobody listened to women back then.
Yeah, and men can evolve. Men can evolve from where they're at, but they won't change. That's the key. It's not about how smart you are or what you learn or anything. It's fundamentally, men do not change at their core. They do not. We see this again and again in the men's weekend when we strip away the male hierarchy. When all men are the same, they see each other as, oh, fuck, we are all the same shit.
Okay, so I believe what's being said here in the video we're watching and this comment that's being made, or the reaction to the comment. So men are objectively more wired to uncover truth, to objects, like to just see what is and test things, like because this is, then that means this is, and therefore these things are, right? So men are just like objectively uncovering what they believe is the truth, where a woman would be more like subjective, more like, well, I know somebody who had an experience that was different than the truth that you've uncovered, and I know somebody who did this, and there's other people that do that. So it's totally different, right? The way that men and women approach it. And that's why I think that philosophers have traditionally been men. And that's what the video we're watching, he's trying to say.
Yeah, I think this Thai guy is saying, have men tried to speak gooder, meaning that, have they even tried to do it? Maybe they can. And that's true. There's certain men that can communicate. You can evolve to communicate well.
Mhm.
But I think at the end of the day, like we saw in that argument between Candace Owens and that other fella, when you argue with a woman, you're not going to win because they're going to change the rules midstream on you. You know, they're just good at it. We're trying to solve a factual problem. They're trying to win an argument. There's a difference.
Well, I think defining what you're talking about is good communication. Like, if you're talking about good communication in a relational way versus good communication in an informative way, I think those are different things, right? And I think Andrew
Oh,
Wilson
that's good.
won the truth-based information side of it, and she won the subjective opinion-based side of it.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's a difference between an emotional discussion and a factual discussion. Men are not going to win an emotional discussion. That's my point. Just not.
Yeah, and a discussion with a woman, she's typically going to bring in emotions into that conversation. When it's two men, it's going to be a different conversation. You might have a feminized or emotional man as well, or you could have a masculine woman. All those things obviously exist. Just saying in general, when a man has an interaction with a woman outside of maybe the workplace or even in the workplace, she would typically be the one to bring in the emotion into the conversation.
Not only the emotion, but the nuances. And I think that's one of the reasons, because I've been accused of being a bit difficult to have a discussion with as well. But because our minds are more like spaghetti and men are more like our egg cartons, you know, we are always thinking about everything all at once. You know, we don't have an empty box. We don't have a place where we go and read, there's nothing in it. It's just not there for us, you know. So when we're talking about a subject, a man's just drilling down to the foundation. This is what is. And women are coming at it from one direction. And if that's not getting the point across, we're coming at it from a different, not because we're trying to win necessarily, but because we know we're right.
That's a subtle difference. But yeah, and I don't mean to say that women are, you know, purposely trying to incorporate all these nefarious tactics. I think it's just like you say, it's a jumbled bunch of wires. Everything's connected to everything else. And so, of course, if you have that information highway happening, you're going to use it. It's simple as that. Whereas men don't have that. That's the difference.
Well, that's because men have got it figured out. We're done. Move on. And women are still looking at all the different variations of the colors. I mean, a crayon box has 64 colors. I think there's 128 colors now. It's like, that's just ridiculous. When I go to the nail salon, I don't need to choose between 16 shades of red. Give me 2, you know, but there it is.
Well, a minute ago, your husband in the comments says true.
To all of it, probably.
I don't know. You can interpret what saying true to, because he didn't elaborate. All right,
I'm gonna assume he was holding a high level observation.
I think he was agreeing with me. With whatever I was saying. All right, here we go.
Nothing wrong with the fact that our empathetic MOs are different, and hopefully this leads to better understanding, because aside from artists,
I think it's his video that's echoey.
Well, we can understand it.
compared to women, all men are autistic. And here we see the battle.
Oh, he said compared to women, all men are autistic.
Yeah, well, that's the point I was making.
What's the point?
Well, it's that they're just way more intelligent than we are, and they're able to articulate, and they're able to take their emotions and put them into actual words that make sense. You can't try and get a man to explain why he's angry or explain why he'll just start stuttering.
So autistic, he's saying autistic because autistic meaning not able to understand or articulate emotions?
That's what I believe he's saying.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Background of the sexes, man prides himself on this quote objectivity. This is fantastic in cartography, astronomy, and architecture, but this also makes him objectify all things, including nature and woman herself. Hunters rule with the eye. Man is a predator by nature, and if he doesn't know this, he becomes an antisocial creature, at best in polite.
There's just so much there. I got to stop it.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Well, you know, that goes back to what we say in the weekend. Men are sociopaths with a thin veneer of civilization.
Right. Well, hold on.
Borderline sociopaths. We'll give them that. Borderline sociopaths.
Let's listen to this one more time.
A woman learns that if you just watch the movie, you'll find out what the characters want. There's nothing wrong with the fact that our empathetic MOs are different, and hopefully this leads to better understanding, because aside from artists and homosexuals, compared to women, all men are autistic.
Aside from artists and homosexuals, because those are feminine men, is what he's saying.
Maybe their brains operate differently. I don't know. I've never studied the nuances of that.
Okay, this next part, we're going to listen closely.
And here we see the battleground of the sexes. Man prides himself on his, quote, objectivity. This is fantastic in cartography, astronomy, and architecture, but this also makes him objectify all things, including nature.
Okay, so he objectifies the things that are good, like building buildings and doing math and all kinds of stuff that you need to be objective for. But then he also applies it to things that he shouldn't, which is nature and women, right? Is what's being said.
And woman herself. Hunters rule with the eye. Man is a predator by nature, and if he doesn't know this, he becomes an antisocial creature.
If a man doesn't know that he's a predator, he becomes an antisocial creature. I don't understand.
At best.
At best.
You don't?
If he doesn't know, if he's not aware of it.
Yeah, I mean, men are killers.
Yeah.
I would say it's not necessarily that a man who doesn't know, but a man that doesn't accept that aspect of himself, therefore makes himself wrong for it, and therefore he withdraws and makes himself antisocial.
Yeah, you have to embrace your nature, because you can't change it.
Okay. So if he doesn't know it, then he's gonna act out in ways that make him antisocial.
Well, no. Brenda, but what Brenda said was, if he's unaccepting of the fact that he is a killer, which to me is the same thing. It's not recognizing that you're, that's not me, right? I'm not that way, but he is that way. So the fact that his behaviors will lead him to these areas that, he'll be ashamed of himself and he'll withdraw. And he won't want to accept that these are his behaviors, his thoughts, his impulses, his instincts. He's trying to deny them all, and that battle within is just going to make him withdraw.
Okay.
Future, at best impolite and pessimistic of outsiders, useful in wartime, but at worst a monster even to his own kin. On the other hand, because of her subjectivity, woman can be much less rigid in her conclusions. She is pliant in her thoughts. This is a superpower in communal politics in which she may have to mediate between neighbors to maintain tribe cohesion, but this is also to her dismay in the form of suggestibility, and this is why women become the easy targets of advertisement and propaganda.
No, we talked about that last Sunday.
Yeah. This is why men and women get so pissed at each other. Man thinks he sees truth, and the truth does not care what he says. He views language as mathematically binding. Inversely, women speak.
Okay, so men see truth in that way, and this is what is so interesting. That it's kind of be a theme, I think, of today. What he says about women and truth right here. This is like crazy.
Truth into existence. Mythologically, she is the matrix which the logos or word comes out of. So for her, truth is dependent on what she says, and she has an infinite supply of speech. Man ignores this and fixates on singular truth, ignoring all contingencies, whereas woman speaks multiple, even contradictory truths at the same time and treats them all as true, because they are all true to her, since she birthed the logos out each time. Thus, man calls woman crazy bitch for saying what seems like a bunch of nonsense, and woman calls man cruel dick for ignoring all of her complexities.
Yo.
Classic misunderstanding.
Yeah. And two things can be true at the same time.
Well, I think it comes back to understanding each other's language, right? The way you communicate, right? Each has to recognize the way the other one communicates. So for a man, it's like if she's giving all these complexities and these different truths, have things that seem to on the surface, you just have to let it in. Just let her go, because eventually she'll get there. Right? Eventually she'll get there. A lot of times it's just letting her go. Letting her go. Don't even.
Well, it's a fun journey to be on, isn't it? As long as you let it happen, as long as you just accept this is the way it is, instead of making anybody wrong, making yourself wrong, making her wrong, making him wrong.
Don't take it personal.
What's so beautiful is that you've got the two different modalities of processing, and when you come together and honor the third entity, who we are here, right? The third entity, then you get the strengths of both when you both accept it, or you have, if you make each other wrong, you've lost a great opportunity. So just accept that you're different than I am, and what you're bringing to the table is valuable. What I'm bringing to the table is valuable. Let's bring it all and then examine it and see what we've got.
But I think it's more than just accepting differences. It's also understanding why. That's like an empathy part of it. Like he was saying that women speak truth. They speak things into truth. So to them, if I say this is truth and then I say this is truth, and it's like the two things that maybe oppose each other that also can be true at the same time, don't make sense to a man because he's objective and it's logical. Well, she creates the truth. So it's true because she said it.
That's why she wins the arguments.
But the other thing too is that if men is communicating through action. So if you a lot of times in a third entity situation, each one is looking for appreciation of the other's care and affection, right? You're looking for markers. And so for a man, a lot of it is in action. The things he does on a daily basis that show that he cares about the third entity and their marriage. He cares, and there's things he does. If a woman can learn to recognize those things and sees them as actual applications towards the lifting up of the third entity, then she's going to be less inclined to lay the smackdown the way she talks, right? She's going to, there's that give and take. It's understanding each other.
Right.
That's what brings them to the center, Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm
And
gonna
understanding that is important because oftentimes a man will speak her truth to her, whether it's his truth or not, in order to create peace and to create connection, whereas his actions never lie. His actions are always speaking the truth. So that's what we need to do, is we need to watch the actions.
Yeah.
And be careful about the interpretation.
All right.
A
Well,
man is revealed by his actions.
Right.
I'm gonna mention again for those who may have just tuned in or whatnot. We are a brand new podcast. We've done maybe 6 or 7 episodes, and some episodes do better than others, but we're pretty invisible to the algorithm at this point. It would definitely help if you could like, subscribe, share, all the things for our channel, but also comments are important. So speaking of comments, we have Ty Learns in the comments talking about autism again. So let's see what he has to say here. Being autistic myself with an official diagnosis, I have learned to articulate myself from my teens. Not because I wanted to, but because I knew it was necessary to get along. Like, I'm not trying to be contrarian, but damn, it just really feels like this leans more into old tropes that are being reinforced. It's difficult because he's talking about something that we were talking about like 5 minutes ago. So it's hard to remember exactly, but this was about men not being emotional or not being able to articulate emotions. Therefore, they're being called autistic. He's saying he is autistic, but he learned to articulate himself from a young age. So it sounds like Ty Learns is not agreeing with the differences that we're painting between men and women. I think he's not liking that very much.
Well, we don't mean to be disrespectful about anyone on the autism spectrum. It's more of a metaphor.
Right.
Well, we didn't use the metaphor. The man on the video did.
Right. True that.
And he's just saying that because he was diagnosed autistic, he realized that if I don't articulate my positions, people will just, then they won't know where I'm coming from. So he learned to do that. Necessary to get along, as he put it. The last thing he said about tropes, I'm not sure. I think what he's saying is it really feels like this leans more into old tropes. And that's true. I mean,
Stereotype.
Well, it's not stereotypes, but historical truths. I mean, these are things that have been, human beings. I mean, human beings are human beings. We started out at a certain place. You can't ignore our genetic history as we move through into where we are today. No matter how much people try to change it with these new theories about, it's just basic stuff. And so it is old tropes that are being reinforced. Yeah, that's
tropes is a negative has a negative connotation to it, like not true.
Does it?
I'm
Old
pretty sure.
trope, like the word tropes is
Like stereotypes.
lies.
Yeah, like untrue stereotypes, I believe.
Really?
Well, this is a good time to remind anybody watching that, including Ty, if you want to come on the show and clarify your position, this is a live show, and we will send you a link, and you can join us, and we'll talk to you, even if it's for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. If you want to come on and voice your opinions on the show, you're more than welcome to do so.
Yes, come on, join us.
Just
Yeah.
let us know in the comments, and we'll send you a link. Other than that, and I've got Brenda. I've got the banner running.
I see it.
Can you tell me if there is a misspelling?
That'll be
Nothing
fun.
in there is misspelled. It's beautiful. Your punctuation is even on point.
I have PTSD from grade school about the English language because it doesn't make any sense, because the rules are very contradictory, and it's the most difficult language to understand on the planet, and the spelling rules are just whatever they want to be. So because I'm traumatized by that, to this day I can't spell.
Well, lax spelling is more forgivable than it is when it's in a URL web address.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
All right, back to our video here. I think we're at the end.
Is it still on a 0.8? Because he's so fast.
It is on 0.8, yes.
Yeah.
Classic. The interaction between this.
Oh, that was it. That was the end. Never mind.
Why do men dream of bleeding out in the snow? So it can be seen?
I don't know what that had to do with what he was talking about. I guess maybe the hunting and protecting part of it. I don't know, honestly. Not sure about that title.
I think that was his next video.
Yeah.
It
Part
says
two.
Part two. I don't know. He's got so many videos. His videos look like that guy with the board in the back, and there's all the red lines connecting all the dots and all this stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I like it when they do the illustration. My visual learning modality gets satisfied that way.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay, so what is the point of a relationship? Let's switch topics here real quick. I mean, it's always the same topic. It's always men and women. That's what we're talking about all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we focus more on the women. Sometimes we focus more on the men. Sometimes we focus on the dating aspects of it. Sometimes we focus on long-term relationship parts and everything in between. So to set up this next clip that I have, which is what is the point of a relationship, I'll ask Brenda first. Well, why have a relationship? What is the point of it from your perspective?
Our ancestral reason for having a relationship. I think we're driven to create relationship besides the reproductive aspect, of course, because we each have strengths, and when combined, our strengths become a rock.
Bruce?
Well, I think originally marriage was created so that to tame and domesticate men, because they were too dangerous to walk around the village. Nobody trusted them. They was scared of them, but they needed them to go out and fight and hunt. So they created marriage to tame and domesticate men.
But today, ever increasingly, it seems as though young men and women are deciding not to be in relationships. And so it's like, what's the point? So in today's context, like, what would be the point of a relationship? Not obviously, it wouldn't be to tame men, I don't think.
No.
Not consciously.
Yeah, not anymore. What would be the point? Well, there's very few benefits for a man to get married. I mean, a family, I guess children needs two parents.
Legacy.
Yeah, and maybe, I don't know. I see so many men, they're just A lot of men are divorced and they act like they're happy about it. I question that, but they, and they would never get married again. That's great. I come home and, no one's telling me to do this or that, and the other thing. It's just like, I just do whatever I want, but, I just wonder.
Well, we got this dude, his, I don't know his name, but he has a channel called The Battlefield of the Mind. And he's going to answer this question for us.
Okay, so you're ready, and this one is planned because today we had a class with the couples,
Yes.
right? And you asked a very powerful question, and I want you to share a little bit more about this because it's something that a lot of us are in, okay? What is the point of a relationship?
Yeah. So this is something all of us do. We all get in relationships. But real question, what is the point of you getting in your relationship? What's the reason? It's really funny because we qualify people when we first meet them based on what? Symmetry, smells, money, like nice butts, whatever. People qualify based on very silly things, but don't really think about what is the reason you're in a relationship. Now, you might answer with something clever like for love, but please go ahead and write the definition of love in the comments. That'll make me feel good. What is love?
Right.
People are not answering as smoothly as they think on this one. Here's the thing to make your relationship actually stronger. Let me give you a foundation. The reason you're in a relationship is because you want to be able to grow with someone that makes it so your lives are better together than they would be alone.
Yes.
Like just soak that in. I want to grow with somebody, and then being together, we're both working towards a common goal of making both of our lives better as a team than it would be if we were separated. And if you're just trying to take more than give, and you're not trying to make it so it's better together, you probably shouldn't be in a relationship if you're not trying to grow. So think about that for a second. Why are you in this? And show some gratitude to the person who is giving themselves to you so you guys can grow together to be happier as a team and you wouldn't be flying solo.
I think that's like the third entity, right?
I was just going to say that. And therefore, we have the third entity that gets our focus. Because when the third entity is healthy, then the relationship is healthy and both parties have more satisfaction. Right?
I agree. Let's, real quick, before Bruce chimes in, let's see what Tony Robbins has to say about this.
Expectations kill passion. The expectations about who we think they should be, how they should respond, what they should do, versus 100% responsibility within myself. That's my job to light you up. And by the way, if it's a really beautiful relationship and you truly mature in a relationship, it goes beyond chemistry. Now what lights you up most is lighting your partner up. More than them lighting you up will light you up. The life of service to someone and devotion is the only lasting relationship. The life of pleasure, what I'm getting or not getting, is why most people are living in pain. Because it's not going to be pleasurable every moment, but it can be meaningful and it can be more than pleasurable. It can be fulfilling, it can be magnificent, it can be beyond your wildest dreams, but it's going to require you to expand your model of the world beyond yourself.
Gratitude versus entitlement, yeah?
Yeah.
Hey, brings up so many nuances. There's those nuances again.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that's coming up for me in these conversations that we're having right now, and I see it too often, is two people in a relationship expecting their partner to dissolve themselves in the relationship. I have to be 100% what you want me to be in order to be doing my part in the relationship. Two people stay individuals in a relationship. I'm still me and you're still you. And we're walking a path in the same direction by choice. We don't become one being. I know biblically we do, but that leads to people saying, well, I deserve to know everything that you're thinking. Maybe you do and maybe you don't. But I get to be an individual in this relationship, and I'm going to honor the boundaries of what we've agreed to. I'm going to honor the terms of the marriage. I'm going to honor, I'm going to be transparent, but I don't necessarily have to be invisible or completely, I don't have to give up my identity in order to be in this relationship. If you don't like my identity, then don't choose me.
Yep.
Which also brings me to it's important for me in the dating world to show you who I am so that you can choose me actively.
Yeah, to be honest about who you are, so you're not like a bait and switch later on.
Right. I remember we being told in one of our trainings that it's my job to be 100% it's my job to choose my partner. And if I don't, and it's my partner's job to vet me to make sure that we're compatible. We're vetting each other. It's my job to be 100% who I am, take off the persona, take off the mask, be 100% real, authentic, so that you can choose me. Otherwise, I'm going to have to wear that mask every day of the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's who you chose.
Which you won't do.
Which you won't, yeah, exactly.
Which I certainly won't want to do.
There's
Yeah.
no motivation.
I mean, some people do, women that marry men simply for their money and they're the Barbie doll, not to be disrespectful. I think the Barbie dolls are beautiful, but if that's who you're presenting yourself as, you have to continue to be that, or you might get kicked to the curb.
Now, here's a little story. My wife was telling me when she was a young girl, like 16 or 17, she was working at the Red Coach restaurant in 100 Mile House. And one of the women she was working with, they were in the bathroom at the same time, and they were talking. And this woman admitted to her that she had her husband of 6 years had never seen her without makeup. She went to bed with the makeup on. When he was asleep, she got up and took it off, or took it off in the morning and reapplied it in the bathroom, whatever. But he never seen her without makeup in 6 years.
I had a friend like that. Yeah.
Amazing. Like, it's unbelievable.
She would lock herself in the bathroom to fix her makeup and fix her hair. And I called her one day. This was before cell phones, and her boyfriend answered the phone, and he's like, she's fixing her hair. And he said, I've never seen her. I've never seen her in the process of getting ready. She's always 100%.
And the original
that sounds
question,
exhausting to me.
Oh, fuck.
The
original question was why would people today get in relationships, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it's to complement, to appreciate and compliment each other's successes. Like, have you really achieved anything if you're doing it by yourself? In that aspect, like you have no one you can. If you're working towards a common goal and you each get a win, and you can celebrate it. That's a great feeling. Yeah.
Well, I know in my partnership, my husband and I are both very successful people in our own right. But when we came together 13 years ago, who we've become as a unit is so much more than that.
Yeah. And women complete men. Like, it's the yin and the yang. You're kind of incomplete as a solo man just by yourself. You have that other feminine part of you. Not that you're like living on an island without any women around, but I'm saying living with a woman, having a long-term relationship with a woman, it's very natural. It feels like to a man. It's just we're meant to be together. You're meant to have a partner in this world. That's how I see it.
I don't know. As long as you understand what's going on and you're working it, because it's work. It's all work.
Right.
You can't take a day off.
Continue to add. Yeah. A metaphor I've heard that I like to use with my clients is when you get married, you have a marriage box and it's empty. You have to keep putting stuff into the marriage box: the respect, the attention, the care, the generosity, all of that. You have to put that into the marriage box so that in rough times you have something to draw from. But when you get married, it's empty. It's pretty, but it's empty.
Okay, let's hear from this woman about the non-negotiable rules in her marriage. Yeah.
These are the non-negotiable rules in our marriage, okay? Today, society mocks them, but our marriage has never been stronger. Okay, let's get into it. You don't have to like them. You don't have to agree with them. But before you come at me, you have to ask yourself why our rules might trigger you or might make you mad. Rule number 1. My husband has the final word, period. Not because I'm weak, but because I trust his leadership. One clear head of the household kills power struggles and endless arguments. Rule number 2, I can literally quit working anytime I want. If I wake up tomorrow and decide, you know what, I'm done. He's got me covered. He's got my back. My role is a choice. It's not an obligation. Rule number 3, I guard the home. I cook, I create comfort, and I keep the peace. A man can't conquer the world if he comes home to drama and emotional war. Number 4, no opposite sex best friends, no private messages, no just friends with anybody who would date you in a heartbeat. Loyalty is black and white, no gray areas. Rule 5, he provides, I multiply. He brings the resources, I turn them into meals, memories, and a home that he can actually come back to and actually want to come back to. Rule 6, no solo clubbing or bar nights. Single energy has no place in a real marriage. Rule 7, no thirst traps. If a revealing photo of me goes up, it's only because my husband posted it. I'm not here fishing for likes from other men. Rule number 8, he protects me physically, I protect his heart emotionally. Masculine and feminine energy in perfect balance. Rule number 9, divorce is never an option or even talked about. We don't quit. We fight, we fix it, and grow stronger through every single challenge. And my last one, my absolute favorite rule is pinned down below in the comment.
Shit, you gotta go further to find out. So from a feminist point of view, I think they might say she has Stockholm syndrome, you know? What do you think?
I think she made a good choice choosing her husband. She chose a man that she can trust. She chose a man that she's willing to follow. She chose a man who could sit down with her and make those rules of the relationship and make them work.
Well, I think they both agree on the rules, right? I don't know that he made them.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But aren't they really common sense rules? And hers, you know, a lot of them are her choices. Like the one about the job, that was a rule just for her. If she decides she wants to quit her job tomorrow, that's her call.
But he has to be able to support the family.
Well, whatever. I mean, that wasn't part of it. She just said that if I wake up tomorrow and I decide that I'm done, I don't want to work anymore, that's my choice.
Because he's got me. Because he's got the family. I don't think, my point is, I think that's a tough thing for a lot of families, like that she doesn't have that option. That just eliminate one income.
Well, yeah, but that's her choice, right? Like, so she chooses to keep working because, hey, my family needs me, so they're gonna, she's gonna keep going. So it's kind of common sense thing. There's something else there.
So there was the no thirst traps. So you can't post bikini photos online. You can't go out clubbing. No divorce. It's not an option. We don't talk about it. She multiplied.
Like all those things she said, like they're all possible because she accepts her man unconditionally.
And he takes care of her.
Right? And he takes care of her. So that's love, like that other man in that other video was, write the definition of love in the comments. I dare you. And that's what love is it's a material thing, right? So whoever's receiving the love in a long-term committed relationship must receive the benefit. For a man, it's unconditional acceptance. For a woman, it's being taken care of or protected or a combination of both, right?
However that means to her. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that comes directly from the Ignite weekends, right? The definition of love from a man or from a woman's perspective. Can you say them again real quick?
Say what?
The definition.
The law of love, or the
definitions.
Yeah, the law of love, and then how.
Yeah, the law of love is that in a long-term committed relationship, whoever's receiving the love must also receive the benefit. So it has to be material, like it has to be measurable. And for a man, love is unconditional acceptance. Right? And just to expand on that, it's like many women will criticize a man. And when you're criticizing a man, what you're really doing is you're saying, you're not the man I want you to be. right? That man's in the future somewhere, and that's the reason I'm criticizing it. Unconditional acceptance means you accept the man for who he is right now in this moment, and he feels it, he understands it, and he believes you, right? It doesn't mean that you aspire him to be smart, but you're okay with who he is. If he evolves into something greater, fantastic. You're going to accept that too, obviously, but you accept him for who he is. And for a woman, it's being taken care of, and all whatever that means, as Brenda says, whatever that means to each woman. What is being taken care of mean to her? And you fulfill that. That's love to a woman. Those are tangible things. It's interesting. I look at the unconditional acceptance part because I feel that there's many marriages where that does not happen. There is not an unconditional acceptance. I see it all the time. You have a deck party, and you could see it in the interactions that are going on if you're paying attention. The thing I'd like to say about that is it's very interesting. If you have children, like, what is it you're actually saying to your daughter, right? If you're with a man that you clearly, by your actions, don't unconditionally accept, she's going to pick up on that, and it's generational. It'll move into the next generation, where she will be attracted to a man that she will she's basically setting herself up for failure, potentially. Anyway.
Does this analogy work, Bruce? You tell me. I just thought of it. So if you're cheerleaders and you're on the side of the football field, right, and you can do it, yes you can, no matter what, yes you can, right? They're always doing that, and even if they're down by the team's down by 40 points and there's 5 minutes left in the game, the truth is they can't do it. They're not going to win the game, but the cheerleaders are still, yeah, you can do it, yes you can. If you could imagine if the cheerleaders were all of a sudden run faster, you should try this.
Try harder. You can.
Yeah.
You're failing. You guys are losers. Why are you such a loser?
So I don't know if you want to follow this thread that I want to introduce you guys, but one of the things that I've heard from a number of female clients, successful female clients, is that shortly after they got married, they're well employed and making a decent, enough money. And shortly after the marriage, the husband decided that he doesn't want to work anymore. So he quits his job and, I don't know, plays golf, plays video games, whatever he does, but he doesn't provide. What would you say in that circumstance?
I need more information. Did he?
Yeah, is that a real thing? Is that
$500,000 a year? What's going on financially with their dynamic?
A couple $100,000, but I mean, it's not that she said yes. I want to support the family, and she didn't even bring masculine energy. Because I'm thinking of two different women that I've specifically had these conversations with, who within a year of getting married, they just said, yeah, I'm quitting my job. I don't want to work anymore. You make enough money to support us, so you just handle that. She wasn't part of that. She wasn't part of that decision. Right. And doesn't agree with it.
Okay, but what is he doing? So let's
playing
assume
golf. He's not improving himself. It's not that he's got a passion project. He's just decided he wants to enjoy his life.
Well, yeah, I mean, a woman is just not going to, from my perspective, I don't want to speak for women, but I'm just saying they're going to resent that. That's going to turn into resentment.
100%. But how did, when we're on the subject of love to a man is 100% unconditional acceptance, what does a woman do in a circumstance like that? How does she proceed?
Well, like I say, it's going to be resentment. That means she's not accepting him unconditionally. She's not going to, because it's not acceptable.
Right.
How can you unconditionally accept somebody? You have to earn that right. You have to be that person. If you're giving your best to everything you can, and the woman saw something in you, or, however you got together through your vetting and all that, at the end of the day, as long as you're striving, a man has to have a purpose in his life. Who the hell would respect him? There has to be something going on that's going to make her look at him and go, that's why I'm with him.
What would you say to her?
Well, I would say that if she's interested in continuing the relationship, she's going to have to accept it. If she doesn't accept it, if she doesn't love him anymore, then maybe it's time to move on. Do they have kids?
Yes.
Ooh.
How old are the children?
They're grown now, but they weren't at the time. They were young.
So this is a scenario that's played out.
In one case, it played out, yes, and then the other one, it's still in the works. Yeah.
But the children are grown. See, so if the children are grown, their job is done. And then it is, like Adam said, it's up to her. Like, if she goes, this isn't working. And the reason it wouldn't be working is because she gets resentful. Like, why do you want to go around being resentful? You think, you this lazy motherfucker. He comes home talking about his golf game, and I'm out there slaying dragons.
And cooking and cleaning and doing the laundry and all the household things too. Yeah.
Well, they must be having a great sex life. Jesus.
I mean,
I don't think they could be.
Right? You know, like, it's just, it's interesting that most men, you know, like, if you don't have a purpose, men lose sense of self. Like, it's hard for me to believe that this scenario exists, that a man, what is he getting his higher purpose is playing, you know, scoring in the 80s in golf? Like, what? Fuck? It doesn't make any sense.
There's a comedian, Ryan Long. He would say, "This guy sounds like a goat." It's like, W for him. Wow. He doesn't work and he golfs all day and she takes care of the house. Holy crap. How did he do it?
Put him in a cage. Let's study him.
Yeah, right.
But it says more about the woman, though. Like, you know, like, again, you know, if there's nothing at stake, why would you stay? Unless you're okay with it. And if you're not okay with it, yeah.
Well, then there's a societal pressure to not get a divorce, right? You've got to be loyal. You've got to be a good partner. You've got to stick in there. You've got to.
In this day and age,
you got to manage your relationship. Yeah, well, in the women's weekend classes, right? It's like you're responsible for the success of the relationship.
Yeah, but not if there's abuse.
Right.
And that sounds like financial abuse to me.
Is it financial abuse if she decided to quit her job?
Again, that would be up to the man. Like, I'm assuming things here, right? Like, you know, if she loves her career, you know what I mean? You know, but the way I look at it, the way I see it, I guess, from both angles, if I'm a woman, which I'm not, and my man is not purpose driven in some aspect, something, then what is he? What's he doing? Right. He's just a lazy loiterer sitting around playing checkers. Who can respect a man like that? Other men certainly don't, you know. His place in the male hierarchy is at the bottom rung. And so there is no metric in which this man is showing up in society well. There's no metric, right? So that's a problem. That's a huge problem. Flip it around. No, women they're taking, you know, most cases, I don't think a woman would quit her job and then not take care of the home. And I mean, which is a whole thing in itself, you know, like, and creating the emotional flow in the home and giving them a safe haven to come to and all of those things. I think that's a great dynamic. It works. And men don't resent it. They don't resent that at all, you know, from my experience. So, you know, from the others, a man has to have a purpose. A man without a purpose is just spending time. That's all he's doing. He's just spending time. What kind of an existence is that?
I guess if they're busy playing with their boat and their bike and their toys, then, but I agree. I can't imagine not having a purpose. Something, some passion project, whether it's my work or a volunteering or a creation, something like that. But just to go through life with a silver spoon in my mouth because I've got a very successful wife, that just, I don't know, does a lot.
Here's Ryan Long. This is the comedian I was talking about. He's actually talking about a man taking money from a woman in a divorce.
Up your stuff? Goat. Legend. I want to shake his hand. Where is this man? I want to shake his hand. Why'd you get divorced? Oh, this guy kicks ass, dude. He's just sitting at home with the kid playing video games. What if I could, babe? How much you make a year? Boy, how much did you make a year? Quality rules. Your ex-husband.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
So it sounded like there she divorced him because he would get a job, because he was just sitting around like a lazy loiterer.
And then he took half of her money though.
Well, I understand, but I'm
And
just-
got out, and I have a client who also got he got alimony because she's yeah.
Very
Yeah,
rare,
it's interesting.
right?
But of course, in that case of your video, that is a comedian. We got to
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
That's
he
the
was
only
talking
reason
to
it's
an
funny.
audience member, though. He was-
Right, but the only reason it's funny is because it's not normal.
It's
Right.
abnormal. Yeah.
It's it's not a
Yes.
thing.
Correct.
It's amazing, Brenda, that you had 2 clients in that boat.
I know. Well, that's why they needed help.
Yeah.
One of the reasons. Yeah.
Well,
Fair
we
enough.
talked about in a few episodes hypergamy, that it's most women need to be looking up. So if she makes $200,000 a year, she needs him to make at least $200,000 or more per year, and it doesn't have to be just monetary. But that's the thing, is that she is not going to be attracted to. It's not the same dynamic as a man, where a man can be attracted to a woman. Doesn't matter what she makes or what degrees she has or what her status is. It's about
Yeah.
beauty.
Yeah, you say money. You always use the metric money. I think it's like, I think if a woman sees her man and that he's high up in the male hierarchy, that's what makes him attractive to her.
Well, money's a part of that.
Well, no, 100%. But yeah, you tend
Yeah.
to lead with money.
Yeah, it's part of it. That's a very good measuring stick. But there's also men with a very high purpose who don't bring in a lot of money. A pastor, for instance, doesn't typically make a lot of money, but he's got a very high purpose in this world. And that would bring a lot of respect and admiration from his peers and from his wife, from his family.
I think pastors make bank. I don't know what you're talking about. Tax-free money machines over there.
You're healed.
I understand.
You're
what you're saying.
We're not talking about televangelists here.
Speaking of money, you see that Ignite has a scroll on the bottom promoting the Women's Weekend coming up. And so we were just talking about definitions of love, how that comes from the men's and the women's weekends. And Ignite is the organization that this is all about, right? The reason why we're here, the reason why we're talking about Third Entity is because we are promoting Ignite Weekend. You know what they call that, Bruce? Do you know what they call that when you have a podcast and you're trying to promote something for money?
Advertising?
No, they call it grifting.
Grifting.
Yeah, we're grifters. We're grifting people for money. So this is our grift. We are trying to funnel people from watching this to going to the website and paying money and making us rich. Because
Yeah, I wish that were true. Yeah.
But isn't would that apply to just regular YouTubers who are looking for followers and
yes.
Oh, so it's the whole
Actually,
scam.
Usually it's negative and it's applied to like people like let's use Candace Owens as an example because we're going to be talking about her in a minute. People would say that she's grifting because she is presenting a version of what happened to Charlie Kirk as controversial and conspiracy theory, and she knows it's not true, but she's doing it to make money. That would be grifting, right? But a lot of times it's applied to anybody who is like trying to sell. There's a lot of like MLD. We had him on our show, Modern Life Dating. He sells online courses for men, and someone could say he's a grifter because he's just doing content to just point people to his website so he can sell them stuff, right? Which, to your point, it's just advertising, right? It's just a way of getting eyeballs on what you're doing, right? If you have a good product, who cares? But I really think grifting means that you're lying to people and manipulating them to buy something that isn't real or good or something like that. But anyways, our grift, the way that we're grifting is we're trying to get rich by getting people to enroll in the men's and women's weekends, and we also have online gyms, which is basically like courses that we offer online that are every other week, twice a year for like 7 weeks or
6 sessions per semester. Yeah.
So all of that stuff can be found on our website, which is in the scroll. This was just a commercial break to talk about our grift. Just wanted to point out that's what's going on. But I joke, it's not a grift because actually Ignite is a nonprofit. No.
Yes.
And most of us are volunteers.
Well, we're all volunteers. There's no paid positions at Ignite at this point.
Yeah, I'm not aware. I don't.
Yeah.
We're the same as the past.
It's kind of funny.
Everybody's a volunteer, and and what you pay, because it's a women's weekend, allow me to speak to that. What you pay for your tuition, for your travel, for your food, that's all value for you. We don't get any of that, not really. I mean, it feeds the weekend and some of the support systems, but as far as I'm aware, it doesn't. Nobody's getting rich except you and your life.
I call it shipping and handling. The pricing structure.
Yeah, $1,000 for everything from leaving your house to arriving back home is. Look around at all the other programs. That's right. It's almost embarrassingly inexpensive.
Well, I think it's in person too. I think that's another big thing is, you get to interact with people in a course room, not just in like a Zoom room or something, which we have that
it's
too.
It's very experiential. There's some lecture, but mostly it's experiential. Mm-hmm. It's extraordinary. I mean, it changed my life. Absolutely. I did my women's weekend almost 20 years ago, and I can't even imagine what my life would be like had I not. I know that I wouldn't be married to the man I'm married to just because of what I learned and who I became as a result of the work that I'm doing in this organization.
Speaking of that man, he did make a comment a while ago. He said, when we were asking about what's the point of a relationship, he said, the point of a relationship is to add value to your life through shared companionship, emotional support, and deep intimacy. I think that was pretty on point with the clip that we played.
Yeah.
And then Gigaslasher 123, which is our behind the scenes man, Mr. Lee. He posted the igniteyourweekends.com link if anyone's interested to check out what we got going on. All right, now, since we have talked about our grift, our viewership has been slashed in half. It's time to get back to other topics.
Boring.
All right. Okay, so, since we're getting a fresh start here, I'm going to play a clip. It's kind of unrelated to anything we've talked about so far, but I think it's very interesting. This guy, he talks about how that, I'm just going to play it, so I'll let him say it, but it's about how women are supposed to like trust life, and then something happens to them where they don't trust life anymore, so they take on a masculine shell, and then they want to be feminine again for like a man or something, so they put like another shell on top of the masculine shell. So it's like, it's interesting. Let's see. Let's see how he probably articulates it better than me.
It's a lot of shells.
If you're dating a woman from the West, and by the West I mean America, Canada, Europe, Australia, any particular country in the West, understand that 90% of your problems with that woman will come from this one thing.
It's echoey, huh?
Badly, yeah.
Badly.
You're in a big room. You're in an auditorium, I guess.
If I turn it down on the video, let's see what that does.
In 1970s, there was the feminist.
How's that?
Yes, that works.
That was better?
Works for me. Yeah.
Okay, let's start over then.
If you're dating a woman from the West, and by the West I mean America, Canada, Europe, Australia, any particular country in the West, understand that 90% of your problems with that woman will come from this one thing. In 1970s, there was the feminist movement. The feminist movement was the point where women started becoming independent. But if you go a little bit deeper into the emotional and energetic signature of a woman, at her core, a woman's desire and the feminine is to trust life. When a woman has certain experiences in her life that proves to her that she cannot trust life, maybe something with her father, whatever happens, she ends up stepping into full independence. That actually means wearing a masculine shell on the feminine pain in the first place. Now, the issue that we're seeing in the world, and you're probably having when you're connecting with women who have a lot of standards, lists, and many different things, is that they're trying to drop into their feminine, but to do so, they are putting on a feminine shell on the masculine shell. That's why you have this in and out. Your job as a man dating a woman from any of these places is to understand that at the core, the woman has a deep anger for the fact that she cannot trust life. She has a deep anger, and it's almost like rage for the fact that she could not fully rest in her feminine. If you try to please that woman by meeting her lists, her standards, as she's trying to drop into the feminine, you are going to meet massive resistance because you're appealing to the layer on top of the shell. What you need to do instead is to understand that at her core is a deep pain for the fact that she cannot trust life, which means you get to speak to that woman, see if you can hold her from a deeper perspective and introduce her into a way to trust life. That means as a man, you have to be solid, you have to have your shit together, you have to be very clear on what you're doing, but also you have to be able to penetrate much deeper than the surface thing you feel from that woman, because that's not actually what you want. What she's looking for is the ability to fully trust life again, which means you have to hold her from that level and from that point of awareness. Until you can do this, it just doesn't work, because most of the time they actually don't realize that that's what they're looking for. That's why it's your job as a man to be able to be at that energetic capacity that allows you to hold the space for her at this level. If you're dating,
Yeah. Very well said.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way before. The masculine shell to protect the inner wounded feminine, and then to put a feminine on top of that masculine shell in order to soften, because it's still not safe to remove that shell that's protecting the vulnerable self.
Yeah, well, we talk about it in the Women's Weekend that a lot of women are hard on the outside and wounded on the inside. I disagree with his thing that men can somehow penetrate through this multi-layered veneers and get to the truth or get to her true feminine self. I don't think that's something a man's qualified to do personally.
Well, what I would say to that is the way a man can approach that is to be a safe place, to be his word, to show up as who he says he is, to guard the agreements that you've made so that she knows. And it may not happen right away, because when we come wounded into a relationship, which isn't ideal, it's better to be qualified, come to the weekend. But when we come into the relationship with wounds that make us feel unsafe and uncertain, and then our man shows up and isn't transparent, isn't reliable, isn't safe, then it just reinforces that old wound. It's like, yep, see, I told you.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree that men need to be the rock, but that's all they can be. They can't be some sort of psychoanalyst. And I think in order to penetrate those shields and get a woman back to her feminine, into her, what I call her feminine power, where she deals with the pain that she has, and that is done mostly with other women.
Right.
And they need to be aware of it. See, that's the other thing. It's all about awareness. Like, most women, they would have no idea that they probably have their pain and their hurts, but the fact they put a masculine shell over it to protect themselves, they don't really realize that. Then they meet a man and they realize, well, I kind of want this man, So then they put a sort of a feminized, and then they're in and out. They're masculine, they're feminine, they're masculine, they're feminine, because the feminine overlay is not that well cemented in place. But I don't believe they're aware of any of that.
No,
and
most women aren't. Yeah,
that's the issue, right?
I'm very aware, and I never thought of it as that perspective. It's very interesting. I'm going to be digesting that for sure, and it makes perfect sense. It fits.
My question would be: do you think it's possible? Let's assume that what he says is true. Is it possible for a woman to actually let go of? So you got the veneer of the feminine. Underneath that is the strong masculine shell that's there to protect the hurt. And then underneath the masculine shell is the hurt, actual original feminine energy, right? So is it possible for a man to be in such a way that she is able to let go of all the shells and just be the original hurt feminine, healed feminine?
Well, she has to do the work. It's up to her to do the work. And Bruce is right. It's important to do it either with a woman or with a professional, with your women or with a professional. That's the work that I do.
Is it aided by having the right man, right? So that she.
Well, if that man is a rock, If he is a rock, that gives her something to flow around, to lean up against, and know it's not going to move. That's a great start. That's a great buttress for her. You know, she could begin to do that work if she's aware of it, if she wants to do it, if.
Well, and then I think on the other side of it too is don't make it worse. Don't be that person that makes her right that men aren't reliable.
Well, in other words,
she's going to choose according to what she's got going on inside. She's going to choose a man that she thinks she deserves. And if she thinks that men aren't reliable, she's going to choose an unreliable man. So, yeah, I mean, a man can't fix a woman can't fix a man, but we can be a place where I can be a place where you can do your work. You can be a place where I can do my work. And it's good to know this kind of stuff so that you don't take things personally that aren't personal.
Yeah, I definitely think he can be in a way that would make her masculine shell have to be harder if she doesn't,
For sure,
doesn't trust that he has everything handled.
Right.
And that is a good segue into our last video from Facebook Reels. We have one more.
Everything is built on the husband and the father. And this country is a failure.
Is it echoey?
It sounds fine.
Yeah.
Today because the fathers and the husbands have failed. How? Failing to be the example they need to be. Failing to be the leaders they need to be. Failing to be the disciplinarians that they need to be. Failing to be the providers that they need to be. If you don't have the backbone as a husband and as a father to be the bad guy, you've got no business being a father or a husband. There's times when you have to know this is not a good direction for my marriage, for my family. And everybody's going to be mad at me. My wife is going to be mad at me. My kids are going to hate me. But in the long run, this is a very bad direction. And I'm putting my foot down and we're not doing that. And you become the bad guy.
Do you need to be the bad guy?
I think you need to be willing to be the bad guy.
As a man? As the husband?
Well, we tell the men in the men's weekend, given how you're living your life, would you want your son to be like you? That's a very introspective question. And one that's hard to hide from the truth.
Well, when it comes to the wife perspective, we're talking about the shell, the masculine, the feminine, and all that. A man who's being like that, would that not lend to more of an environment of her to feel like she can trust life?
Yes. Solid rock. Yeah. It's like, because I know for myself, I'm very well adapted. I'm very introspective. I'm very accomplished. And there are still times where I need to be saved from myself. And to have a man that says this is not in alignment with our commitment to our relationship and something needs to change here. It's not that he's controlling me. It's that he's holding a standard for us to both lean into. And if one of us is stepping out of that standard, it's important for the man who's leading the relationship, right, to say, stop.
Yeah. 100%. That's something to do with somebody's talking about how women are so empathetic, and the reason why we exist as a species is because of women's abilities to manage relationships and to create peace and all of that. But at the same time, they're very easily influenced in certain areas, like if because of the herd mentality, something becomes fashionable, even if they don't like doing it, they'll do it because it's fashionable, even though it speaks against the interests of herself and perhaps her family and so on. So, and I think that's where a man's role comes in, to say, wait a minute here, we're going in this direction. That's the wrong path. We're going here. This is where we're going. You may not like it, but that's what we're doing. And they could protest and, hate him or whatever, kids and whatever, but that doesn't matter, because a man has a job to do. He has a job and a responsibility and a duty and an obligation. And that's his path, and that's what he must do. And it doesn't matter about being liked. I mean, I always ask men, would you rather be liked or respected? Which is it? Ask yourself that honestly. Would you rather be liked or respected?
Women too. Yeah.
Well, once again, it's an amazing segue into the next topic. You were talking about, once again, how women are influenced and herd mentality. There's a court case happening right now about a woman named Lindsay Clancy, who in 2023, I believe, she killed her kids and tried to commit suicide, and now she's on trial. What's interesting about it, it's tragic, obviously, for the children that died. But what's interesting about it is the way that women are reacting to her being on trial, and that they're blaming. Some of them are blaming the husband. They're actually saying it's a conspiracy and he actually did it. Some of them are blaming the pharmaceutical companies because she was on like 12 different types of drugs. And some of them are blaming, she's actually claiming postpartum psychosis. First of all, Brenda, are you aware of the story I'm talking about?
I'm not, but I'm following you. Yeah.
Bruce, you've heard of this, right?
Oh yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna just for those who may not know what I'm talking about. This is just a quick little article about what it is. Duxbury, I don't know where that is.
Sounds like it's in Britain.
Is it?
No, it's in the United States.
Oh,
Yeah, I thought it was in the
Massachusetts.
US. Oh, yeah,
Massachusetts.
Okay. So Lindsay Clancy built a seemingly idyllic life with her husband and 3 young children, all under the age of 6. However, prosecutors allege the image was shattered in January of 2023 when Clancy brutally strangled her kids to death. 35 years old, accused of three counts of first-degree murder, with her highly anticipated trial now underway, jury selection, blah, blah, blah. She faces a mandatory life sentence if convicted of the murder charges. I guess death penalty is not a thing there, because that would seem like that would be on the table. Prosecutors claim her actions were deliberate. She has pleaded not guilty to all charges, and her defense team contends that she suffered from undiagnosed postpartum psychosis at the time of the killings. So, some of the other details I think that are important are where she was a nurse. There was 3 children. The youngest, I think, was 2. What else? She actually strangled them with exercise bands. She like wrapped them around their necks so that they would like stay tight and like make sure that they died. Because if you sometimes if you strangle somebody, they can wake up, they can start breathing again. So there's definitely intent there. She told her husband to go out and get dinner, and he went out and got dinner, and then she called him and said, "Make sure you get my prescription," and then that she did it while he was gone. And then she jumped out of the 2nd-story window in an attempt to kill herself. So he came home.
Try very hard.
That's not high enough, is it?
It's not. But she is paralyzed, though, I think, from like the waist down or something from it. So he comes home and he finds the kids in the basement, with the cords wrapped around their neck, and then he finds her outside in the snow and calls the police. And okay, so we're all caught up on that, on the actual case. But what's crazy, in my opinion, first of all, I mean, whether she has, let's talk about this first, actually. Whether she has like psychosis or PTSD or she's on medication, whatever it is, like, I don't think not guilty is an option, right? I mean, I guess unless it's not guilty because of insanity, and then she goes to like a mental hospital for the rest of her life, which is I think what she's pleading now. Originally, she pled not guilty, but now she's pleading not guilty because of reason of insanity. But I mean, she should be punished.
Well, to me, I don't. It's upsetting to me. My daughter brought this to me. Did you hear about this? Because I guess it's like the OJ trial. Like the cameras are in the courtroom every day, so there's all these witnesses, and it's all on film. It's all being aired publicly. But it's what's happened to when she brought it to me. It's like this TikTok or Instagram or TikTok phenomenon that's going on outside of the courtroom. It's like they're sort of painting her in like as if she's a victim. That's the thing. She's a victim.
You mean like this?
To the people that are upset and believe that she killed her 3 children and she should be convicted, what would be your message to them?
I'm so grateful for you that you never experienced even remotely what women experience in postpartum.
And admittedly, she did admit to killing them, but the woman you see now is completely different from the woman who did that to her kids. And I think it's really difficult for people to hold to truths that may seem opposite simultaneously. She can be a wonderful.
What now? You hear what she said? It's difficult to hold 2 truths that can seem opposite. Remember we talked about that before?
What, that 2 things can be true at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, it's like it's you do something. There's certain things you do in the world that there's no coming. You can't undo them. And when you do something like that, okay, that's it. You may be very sick mentally, or you may not. I mean, who knows? But that's what we have courts of law for, right or wrong. They're supposed to figure it out, and then they do what we call justice, right? That's going to happen, whatever that is. It's this that is disturbing to me. This is the herd mentality. This is feminine women who are being swayed by what? I don't know, by the herd mentality, by what's fashionable. And that's disturbing to me, because it's crazy. Like, what so and it goes on. Like, there's women who are filming themselves with their little babies and acting frustrated and throwing ice cubes in the bathtubs and doing all these different things, saying like, oh, how hard it is to be a mother, like as if they're borderline justifying offing your kids if you get too frustrated with them. And it's unbelievable. Shocking.
Well, I believe the system definitely failed her. She clearly had serious mental illness and that wasn't being properly addressed when I say properly addressed, she shouldn't have been in control of her children. Hindsight's 2020. Definitely the system failed her, but that doesn't take away her accountability for what happened. There are a lot of people in 2 seconds can change the course of your life forever. Drunk driving. That wasn't intentional, but you killed somebody. You're going to jail for many, many, many years. Here's a mother that had 3 children that she murdered in her psychotic state. I don't disagree with that. But still, there's got to be accountability. This happened and there needs to be accountability. It's like, go home? No.
Does everybody remember, I think her name was Lorraine Bobbitt?
Oh, yeah. Who doesn't remember Lorraine Bobbitt?
Bruce, does that name sound familiar?
Yeah, she cut off her husband's dick and threw it in a carburetor.
While he was sleeping, yeah.
Didn't they sew it back on and became a porn star after that?
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, I hope so.
I think so. Yeah. I think so.
I have no idea.
What punishment did she get?
I don't remember that. Didn't she get off? Wasn't it like...
Nothing.
I think it was a very short sentence.
Nothing. She got
nothing.
Nothing. Because he abused her, because she had, what do they call it?
Can you imagine if a man cut off a woman's breast and make a tobacco pouch out of it? What would happen to him?
Right. Well, if she was abusive, maybe, I don't know, probably not. Yeah, battered women syndrome. That's the defense that she used. I mean, I'm sure it's very positive.
I mean, that is the thing. That is the thing. But it's a little bit scary that you take that. Anyway, I don't know.
I still think that's different than murdering your children.
Yeah, I would agree.
Oh, for sure. Well, let's hear what Candace Owens has to say. She's just jumping right into the controversy and the conspiracy theories again. But this time it's just about drug companies, really. I kind of agree with her.
Guilty. There are a fleet of doctors who should be in prison. Lindsay Clancy is obviously not guilty. There are a fleet of doctors who should be imprisoned for what they put her on. I regularly speak out against Big Pharma. They get away with murder all the time. And in this case, they are getting away with the murder of really her 3 children, but also
The drug companies murdered her 3 children.
They're complicit. You know, she's on 12 different medications. I don't know.
I think she tried 12 different. I don't know if she was on 12 at the same time, but she tried 12 different ones. To try to deal.
Ultimately, correct me if I'm wrong, but like you choose, a doctor can prescribe you whatever. I was prescribed lots of drugs for my diabetes, but I didn't choose to take them. I researched them and realized that they don't work. And drug companies, like if you got any awareness at all, you realize that drug companies are there to treat diseases. They're not there to cure them. They just want another treatment because they don't want diseases to go away because they're
right there to
for-profit.
make money. Yeah.
Yeah, they're for profit, right? So ultimately, your health and well-being is your own. You must take responsibility for it, and you start to realize this as you get older. I think when you're younger, you take health for granted, but as you get older, you realize when things start breaking down in your body, you realize you better research it yourself. You better figure out what is the best thing to do. This is one of the things I hope AI it comes to fruition on, where they start coming up with, when they start getting current intelligence, whatever they call it, AGI or something, where they'll rise up above the
Artificial
pharmaceutical
general
companies.
intelligence.
They'll rise up above the pharmaceuticals. No, cancer can't be cured. Oh, yes, it can if you do this, this, and this, and then you do this, this, and this.
Speaking of that, did you hear what happened with first of all, I think it was on Wednesday last week, Moderna's stock was at $60 a share. And then in one day, it shot up to $140 per share.
What drug did they release?
Oh, they have a cure for cancer.
A shot. Yeah, I saw something about
Guess
that.
what it is? Yeah, it's the mRNA, the same mRNA that they used for the vaccine for the COVID.
Well, the same delivery system. Yeah.
So yeah, the same technology. So this time it was for COVID, it was a virus, right? So and I have no idea what I'm talking about, but just in general, they took the virus, they plugged it into this technology, and then they're able to inject it into you, and it trains your body to go after the proteins that are in that virus, right? So your body is basically supercharged to go kill that virus.
Only that virus, yeah.
They took melanoma, and they did the same thing. Put it in the mRNA technology, put it back into your body attacks the cancer, you're cancer free. So upon announcing this, their stock went up from 60 to 140.
I don't believe it.
Wow.
I mean, I believe that the stock went up. I just don't believe. They have no idea. Like, well, how many, they've been testing this for 10 years, I'm sure.
They're going to do a 3-year trial now. So they're going to have people with melanoma come in and do 3 years of trial. But they have to do it with every kind of cancer. It's not just like that works for every type of cancer. You would have to do it with stomach cancer and with brain cancer or whatever. I think you'd have to have a different trial for every kind.
Sure. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if they're coming up with cures for cancer, very clearly they see the writing on the wall. Like, if you're gonna be become obsolete, you might as well cash out.
Right.
It's the truth.
Okay.
Back to something that Bruce was talking about a minute ago. I think it's important for us to take responsibility for our own care. It's important for us to take responsibility for all aspects of our life. That being said, in Lindsay's case, she was psychotic. She wasn't capable of making rational choices. And so that's what her community is for. Her husband, somebody had to have seen that things are going off the rails.
Well, that's her defense.
And it's a good one. But I mean, that doesn't mean that she shouldn't be held accountable. But at the same time, she's not alone in her accountability.
Well, let's hear from another of her defenders or supporters, whatever you want to call it.
Clancy originally pled not guilty. She pled not guilty to 3 counts in February of 2023. She pled not guilty to 3 counts in October of 2023 and changed her plea later. If you don't believe me, go look it up. Allegedly, Patrick's mom did not attend his wedding to Rachel Dennis in 2026. You know where she has been every single day, though? At the trial supporting Lindsay with her husband. His mom also testified for the defense. And on Pink Peace Day, she showed up in all pink. So what does that tell you? I will say this again. Lindsay Clancy originally pled not guilty twice.
Why does that matter?
Yeah,
I'm
what's that
not
have
sure
to do with
what she's
anything?
trying to say. Yeah.
She's trying to say that she was originally saying that it wasn't her, that it was her husband. You see this comment over here? He did it. This is a common conspiracy among these women right now.
Then why would she not be saying that now? I mean, her children were killed, and if she believes her husband did it, why wouldn't she be saying that now?
Because he convinced her to take the fall.
Lindsay Clancy and her lawyer both know she's not guilty, and I have proof.
Proof.
The killings happened on January 24th, 2023. From there, Lindsay went to a hospital where she was treated. I'm sure, as most of you know, as soon as she woke up, she changed her medical proxy from her husband to her parents. Who does that? Someone who's scared. Stick with me.
Proof.
From there, Lindsay got an attorney. I bet a lot of you did not know that on February 7th, 2023, she entered a plea of not guilty. Just not guilty. That plea would not change until over a year later. On December 13th, 2024, her attorney decided to change strategy. It wasn't until that day that they filed a motion for plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. So all of you saying, Lindsay Clancy said she was guilty, her lawyer said she was guilty, but women of the internet, they said she was not guilty at first. They simply changed strategy.
They simply changed strategy to say she was guilty because she was insane.
Well, in the legal world, I mean, it's strategy. Not guilty is the automatic first defense, whether you're guilty as sin or not.
Of course.
You know,
Well, you weigh your options.
saying I'm not guilty doesn't mean that you didn't do it. It's a strategy.
But I'll just point to the comments again. The husband.
That doesn't make sense, though.
She's not guilty. She needs to be acquitted. There's no evidence she did it. I mean, they just go on and on. I don't know.
Yeah. I think popular opinion, yeah, following the herd, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's what Candace has created. Candace Owens, in this case with Charlie Kirk and his murderer. She's totally grifting off of this lie. And last week I said, he's Andrew Wilson. I have a lot of respect for him. He's a great debater, and it looks like he lost this one. I don't know. I don't think he did. I don't think he lost. I think it's going to come out in the next week because they have something called LawTube. Have you ever heard of that? LawTube. It refers to the lawyers of YouTube, where they take stuff like this and they break it down and then they evaluate it.
Oh, I see. So they see who made good points, who didn't, that sort of thing.
Right. So the first week after the initial debate was all because Candace Owens has a huge following, much bigger than him. And so she just put out that, I won the debate. He looked like a clown. He was nervous. His foot was shaking, whatever. And she puts out her little clips of what happened. And it looks like she won. But that only lasts for 1 week. After that, all of it starts getting digested by LawTube. And she's going to look really, really silly, I think. Bruce, you watched the debate, right?
Yeah.
Did you initially think that he lost?
His body language wasn't good compared to hers. That's what I noticed. That's sort of what struck me first. And the only thing I noticed about her that was sort of negative was she seemed so defensive. Like she didn't want him to get his points out. Like every time he wanted to talk facts, she wanted to talk her opinion. And she said it several times about it was it's my opinion. So I don't have to offer it. He goes, well, give me the proof. And she goes, I don't need to give you the proof. It's my opinion. What are we talking about? We're not trying, so it's a different argument, right? It's not about getting to what, is factually, I'm sure you can look at forensic evidence. You can look at timelines. I mean, the man's out for dinner and when did the children die and all these types of things. You can figure out who killed her. Like it's not rocket science from a forensic perspective. But when you're talking about opinion, well, shit. I mean,
that's showing more than anything else her opinion, of course, right?
Yes, there you go. Absolutely.
Well, it seems like we are living in a world where facts just don't matter anymore. I mean, you can watch a video and you think you're watching something real, and then you find out, oh, that was totally fake. It was AI. You know,
Well, AI or somebody with a magnetic personality who's able to express their opinion in a way that's influential. People listen to that. People don't go find the facts. They just listen and digest what they hear on YouTube or on Facebook or wherever they get their so-called news, and make their determination on what somebody else decided. Somebody who's influential, somebody who's got a good point. Oh, that's a good point. I agree with that. But that doesn't make it true, doesn't make it right, because we have to do our own work, and people are lazy nowadays. This world of everything at our fingertips. I'm skeptical of everything I hear. You know, you hear all these reels about what's good food for you and what's not good food for you, and what, you know, if you want to have a healthy body, eat these things and don't eat those things. It's like, based on what? Tell me that part.
Yep. Well, here's one more opinion, like you're talking about, an influencer who speaks well and can persuade people.
I'm not guilty by the jurors. Let me explain why. Before any courtroom could find her guilty, the prosecutor has to prove and answer these questions. What was the motive? Why would she want her 3 children dead and try to kill herself? Police will tell you that the #1 motive in homicide cases is money. Was Lindsay the one who got a bunch of money from the deaths of her children? Or was it her partner? Lindsay could not get any funds if she's doing life in prison. So that motive is out the window. The second most common motive is starting a new life. Think Chris Watts. It would make sense if she had been seeing someone that was out of state, and then after the deaths of the children, she moved away, got married, got pregnant by that person, and started a new life. That would make sense. But Lindsay's not the one who did that. The third motive could be a psychotic break, but could postpartum psychosis really explain what happened in this case? It explained the unnormal timeline. Prosecutors will have to answer questions like this. Why did a nurse try to ill herself 4 different ways? If she is a medically trained nurse, she knew exactly what she...
I like how she says, they have to answer these questions.
Yeah, no, they don't.
No, they don't.
I didn't find her very influential.
No, not at all. She goes on to, I couldn't take it. But yeah, she's like, they have to find a motive. Really? You have to, that's part of it, you know?
Well, she already provided the motive. She says, I was taking 12 different kinds of medication. No doctor would help me. I was refused from clinic to clinic. There's a story my daughter brought me about how a woman who worked at one of the clinics that she was like refused from, like, and she tried to check herself into. She goes, I worked at that clinic. She's putting this TikTok up. I worked at that clinic, and I was in charge of determining whether a patient should be taken in because she was going to harm herself. She goes, but I wasn't qualified for any of that. But we're just so overrun and so busy. So I'd say, are you going to kill yourself? Well, no, I'm fine. Okay, see ya. And so anyway, the defense lawyer subpoenaed her off of TikTok and brought her to the courtroom where she sat, and they had a jury was sequestered, and the judge listened to what she had to say to see if he would allow it, and he didn't allow it. Right? You know, he thought this is not relevant, so he dismissed that. So off she goes. But however, he was able to then introduce that sort of concept of focusing on these clinics that she goes to, or that anyone goes to, and who are the people that are determining or trying to qualify the mental health of these people that are there looking for help. I'm going to harm myself. Can you check me in so I can get some help? Well, a series of questions, they're not even qualified, then they send them away most of the time because they have no room. Anyway, it's just interesting. I don't even know what my point was there, but
you were talking about motive, why she did it.
Well, yeah, she did it. She did it because, well, she did it by reason of insanity, according to her and her lawyer.
Right? Well, you would have to be insane to kill your 3 children. There's definitely some mental illness there, whether it's psychosis or whatever, arrogant, narcissism. But
narcissism, yeah. There was that woman. Her last name was Downey, I think. Remember that one? Farrah Fawcett they did a movie on it called Small Sacrifices. It was a TV movie, and she was this narcissistic, and her motive for shooting her 3 children, one of which survived, was that she wanted to get with this guy, and she knew that her 3 children were going to be like in her mind. That was the reason he wouldn't be with her, is because he's not taking on the 3 children.
Right. That's a common motive. Remember that woman that drove her children, her van into the lake and drowned her children for exactly that same reason?
Yep.
She wanted to be with a man that didn't want her kids.
Well,
interestingly, in that story, hold on, in that story, just want to say in that story, just to finish that off, that I thought it was quite touching. The prosecuting attorney in that case, the Downey case, actually adopted that surviving child into his own home. I thought that was pretty cool.
Amazing. Well, speaking of women doing crazy things, there's a theory out there that Candace Owens, and I kind of agree with this theory, that she knew Charlie Kirk before he was married, and they were friends at a young age, and she wanted to be Mrs. Kirk. And then Erica came along and took that spot, and she was jealous. She was mad about it the whole time. And so now she has an opportunity to not only grift and make money, but to also drive the stake into Erica. So you tell me, I'm going to play this couple of interesting clips here. You tell me what you think, if that could be a possible motive.
The classic motive, jealousy.
Could be.
Competition between women, yeah.
Let's see, I hope I have volume on this here. Is there audio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Right there is why it is impossible for me to think that Erica Kirk is not complicit somehow. Which brings me to Erica Kirk, because
it's echoing a lot, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
That right there is why it is impossible for me to think that Erica Kirk is not complicit somehow. Which brings me to Erica Kirk, because I saw this old clip of her circulating from right before we met up, and it made me so angry. And it was her sit down with Barry Weiss, literally 72 hours before her and I sat down. And I just forgot that Barry Weiss asked her specifically whether or not she believes Tyler Robinson killed her husband.
Do you believe that Tyler Robinson murdered your husband?
Yes, I do.
Why do you think it is so hard for so many people to believe that reality?
Because it's too simple. Again, everyone always has to think there's more to the story. Well, sometimes there's not. I've seen the autopsy report. I've seen our case pulled together. I've been in constant contact with our lawyers, the prosecuting team. I've seen it all.
She is evil. When I watched that, I went, she's evil. I am so infuriated watching that back because she's lying. She's objectively lying, and she's acting, right? It was because of that clip that when I went into meet her, I was going, oh, okay, maybe she has something that the public doesn't. I spoke to the, in touch with the lawyers. I've seen the autopsy report.
Is what she's saying is completely ridiculous.
Ridiculous. She looks like a fool.
Right.
She does.
Okay.
What happened? What happened to her? God.
I know, right? Well, I'm telling you, you heard my theory, right?
Yeah.
Woman scorned.
To suggest that Erica is complicit in Charlie Kirk's murder is just, it's clickbait.
Totally insane.
Yeah. Wouldn't she just put Visine in his coffee? I mean, wouldn't that just do it? Yeah.
Does that
just
work?
What has
That's
she
what I
got to
heard.
gain?
All right.
Visine.
Check this out. So in that same
There are any
interview,
news articles about women poisoning their husbands with Visine. We're going to know they were listeners of our podcast.
Oh, yeah. And then I'm going to be complicit and I'll get sued.
oh, this is for entertainment purposes only. Disavow Visine.
We are professionals. Do not do this at home.
Okay, so this is the same interview. And by the way, that clip that we just played, that was from Candace Owens' show. And if you notice, there was a bunch of jump cuts, right? I don't know if you noticed that, but when Erica Kirk was talking, it was a bunch of jump cuts. So it wasn't just like played. But this is the same interview. Watch her face. Watch Erica Kirk's face as it changes when she's asked about Candace Owens. Yeah. Play.
That's not a good technical procedure to plead with your video.
We can hear you.
Play, please play.
Podcaster Candace Owens. Okay? At one time, a friend of Charlie's. At one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she's making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now? Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
Did you see how her face changed?
Oh yeah.
It
Yeah.
was incredible.
Daggers.
Yeah. I felt that.
I don't think she's acting. If she's acting, she's pretty good.
Well, either way, even if she was the mastermind of his demise, she would still be angry about it. But
True.
Yeah.
Did you hear in that debate, Candace said to Andrew Wilson, she said, well, you went to Turning Point and they hired you, but before that you put out a tweet saying that she was retarded. Did you see that part?
Who's retarded? Erica?
Andrew Wilson tweeted that Erica Kirk was, because someone was saying that Erica Kirk was complicit in the murder, that she planned it. And he said, well, she's too retarded to plan that, as a way of saying she's not that smart. She's not that clever to be able to put together a whole conspiracy to murder her husband just to take over Turning Point. That was his point. But he put it in his own terms. He just said she's too retarded.
What's your point?
Point was, her point was, it's kind of weird that you would call her retarded and then all of a sudden you go to Turning Point and they pay you a bunch of money and now you're here debating for them. Like what happened in between.
Oh, she's implying. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And she goes, when do you not think she's retarded anymore? Why did you say that? And he said, I think all women are retarded.
Spoken like a true person on the internet.
Right. For clicks, right? I thought that was funny. But again, he was just saying I think that's his way of saying men are focused on objective logic, numbers, facts, truth, where women are more subjective and they look at things differently. It's just his way of saying it in a more of a bombastic way.
Knuckle dragger. Yeah.
Maybe. Anyways.
Definitely knuckle dragger. Yes.
Yeah.
The knuckle dragger way. I agree. Huh.
So what does this have to do with relationships, I guess? How do we tie this back in?
Well, I mean, that whole thing about the herd mentality, that's what it speaks to me. And when my daughter came down with that story, now she knows where I stand on a lot of things, and I think she disagrees with a lot of it. But she's watching this trial, and I think she identifies with those women outside the courthouse, and to some degree, And to me, that's herd mentality. So when I point her at that, she doesn't like to hear it. But it's a fact. So it's a great strength, but it's so tragic that strength is being weaponized in today's society against women. And I shouldn't say today's society because I think it's happened throughout. If you look at history, there's a ton of examples of that. So it's nothing new. We just keep doing the same thing over and over.
Well, the problem with herd mentality too is it's unexamined. It's like I hear something that sounds logical to me, so I'm just going to follow the path. But when you sit down and actually, so tell me about your belief, explain it to me. How are you making that logical? How are you making that work? How are you connecting those dots in your own mind? Many can't because they haven't thought about it. They just, that sounds good to me. It sounds compassionate. It sounds like a lot of our presidential elections. Like I want to be passionate instead of what's going to make this country work. And I don't want to go into the politics. That's not a popular place to be these days. But I think one of the things that came out of this podcast today is that we are operating differently, and to accept that we're different, not right or wrong, just different, and to see your partner's perspective from their strengths, even if it's different than yours. And how does that add to the third entity? How does your strengths and my strengths, when we combine them, we make some magic? What does that magic look like, and what are we going to do with it?
Yeah. And communication, understanding each other's languages.
Having
And
agreements. You can't enforce an agreement that was never made.
Yeah, learning to be bilingual, understanding your communication and her communication.
Right.
It could be more than I think the men have to be like quadrilingual on their side to understand women.
Because you're saying that women speak more than one language. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they got all these different communication paths that they go down. Men are very direct, straightforward. Women.
Well, one of the things that women, the cross we die on, and I've said this to my husband a number of times when we have disagreements, like, you don't have to agree with me, but I need you to understand me. I need you to hear where I'm coming from. I need you to know who I am and what I stand for, even if you don't agree with me. And that takes a shift from the man to be able to get into that space of, it's not right or wrong. It's like, this is my perspective, and this is what it means to me. And that's challenging for men. But and I know I'm not the only one. I was just having a talk with a woman just a couple of days ago who was having the same experience. Like, I don't need you to agree with me. I just need you to understand where I'm coming from, so that we can understand each other. This is in relationship, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree. To a certain point, you need to be empathetic to understand how the other person thinks and works. At the same time, I think it's so important to focus inward on yourself and know 100%. Who you need to be. You need to be the masculine end as a man, and she needs to be the feminine end. Unless you want it other way, unless you're in a relationship where the polarity is reversed and you both agree on that, where I guess the man is taking on the feminine and she's taking on the masculine. I've never seen it, but I guess
that works sometimes. I know of relationships where that's where it's working, and it's not to say it's going to be that way all the time, but the polarity is important. You've got to have masculine and feminine in the relationship. If you don't, then it dies. You get friend zoned.
That's where the sparks happen.
Right. Yeah, the sparks are pretty sparky sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Well, any other comments or things you want to throw into today's show before we wrap it up, either of you?
I invite more of our listeners to come on and be part of the show.
I agree. It'd be cool to have like a 6 or 7 or 8 person panel,
That would be fun.
I mean,
it's interesting. There's a lot of people that just don't, I've talked to people about it. I find them interesting, and they, have lots of great stories, and they're very dynamic. But when you say, come on the screen and talk about it live,
yeah,
there's people watching. I said, yeah, but maybe one, there's like 10 people watching if we're lucky, but it will be on the internet for people to review. So
even if there were 10,000, so what? This isn't a profession. It's not a TED Talk.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my point is just I'm trying to lure them into coming on, right? Like,
There's nothing to fear.
Yeah.
It takes balls or chesticles.
Chesticles.
One of the two.
Takes courage. It takes courage.
Yeah, courage.
And brilliantly imperfect is a wonderful place to come from. Because who's perfect anyway? Besides you two, of course, right?
Oh, right. The three of us, that's the thing.
No, I'm not claiming perfection. That's too heavy of a burden to carry.
Our opinions and our commentary is so great. Like they're going to come on and they're not going to look as good as us on here, right? So that's why they don't want to know. We're too intimidating.
Well, considering some of the people that we've shown their videos and the nonsense that comes out of their mouths, it's a pretty safe place to show up.
I mean, it's just a conversation.
Right.
Anyways, thanks again for being here. Everybody watching, and Brenda, thanks for coming.
Thank
And
you.
Bruce,
Thank you
again.
for bringing such fun topics.
Yeah. Bruce, another good show. I think we'll put it in the books. We'll see how this one does.
Yeah.
You still got some cigar left there?
I do. It was a large cigar. It was. Yes.
I tried to stretch it out, but we just.
It's okay. It's all right. We only got about halfway through it, if you can imagine.
Wow.
You need to do a better job on your cigar there, Bruce.
No, you can't.
You gotta, you can't rush a cigar. Tells you how to smoke it.
Well said. Well said. Follow the breadcrumbs, right? Know what you can control and leave the rest alone.
That's right.
All right, y'all. We will see you next Sunday.
Bye, y'all.
See ya.
See ya.
Coal in my pocket, breath like a match, velvet in my voice, and